Welcome to WordPress Basics, Module 4, Adding Video. Okay, talking about the media library in Module 4. In the last lesson, we talked about adding images, and right now you can see where we have images in the library. For this particular lesson, I'm not going to upload a video, but you can upload a video. Let me just go to Add New for just a second. And in most cases, it depends on your web host. For this particular website that I have the demo website on, it'll let you upload a file size of about 64 megabytes. You may have videos that come in around 64 megabytes. In some cases, if you have a video that's well over 15, maybe 30 minutes, a really long video, in some cases, that video may be too big to upload via WordPress. So in that case, you may have to add it to your server in another way. And I'll talk about actually what you do with video. If you're really serious about doing video marketing, and I do highly recommend you do, but you should definitely, if you can figure out a way to add video definitely attracts more attention on a website, obviously more than an image. If you think about some of the videos maybe in the past week or so that you have shared with family and friends, you know how popular and how they use the term viral, where people just pass this video along through email or on Facebook or Twitter, and it gets all these page views because it's, just sometimes it's a really funny video or just has really interesting content in it. It's really a great way to draw traffic to your website. And it's a lot of websites like YouTube and Vimeo that I'm going to show you in just a few minutes. They actually make it really easy for you to upload video, or if you want to just, grab someone else's video, if they give permission by, supplying the embed code, you can add that to your website, especially to your WordPress blogs or a WordPress page fairly easily. But so what we're going to do is, for this particular module, I'm going to concentrate on going to, say, a YouTube or Vimeo.com, how you find the code to add to your blog post and where you would add it. So that's what we're going to concentrate on here. And then at the end of the video, I'll talk about ways you can get around if you really want to have your video. Maybe you don't want your video on YouTube, or you don't want it out there on Vimeo. I'll talk about some ways that you can add it to your website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back to Post. And I'm going to go to this draft that we started in the last module. And I'm going to add the video to this particular draft and go ahead and publish it. So because I'm not going to add video, if you were going to add video, you could click up here and it would just bring you, the same things you saw similar to when we added image. If you had that image and it was, within the range of 64 megabytes where it was less than, you could definitely upload it to your website. But in this particular case, what's easier, what I have found easier, and it also helps you with social media. And anytime you connect, say, Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or any of those social media elements to your website, that's what I highly recommend, because it increases your chances that, someone who's surfing YouTube may type in a keyword and they may come across your video that in some form or fashion, you definitely want to make sure that you link within the description on YouTube back to your website. So that's one of the reasons why I highly recommend using what's already out there as far as social media platforms in the form of video. So I'm going to click over to actually two of my video channels. The first one is on YouTube, and this is under my Ty Webbing Creations. I create book trailers for authors. So I'm actually just going to show you how, if I wanted to add this to a blog post, how you do that. One of the things I do want you to notice, if you do decide to do a channel, is under the description, and this is a little nugget that I found out, a couple of months ago. Because you can add as much as you want on the description. I used to put the URL at the bottom because, I thought, hey, you usually do that on a blog post. But, I found out from expert, while it looks funny, it's better to put the URL that you want people to see right in front of the description. So say you're starting your own YouTube video channel, a way to make sure it gets connected back to you, so people, if they want to see if you have more information or more content, make sure you put the URL to your website in the front of the description. That was a really good tip, and I try to follow along with that. But anyway, let's go. Say you want to add this to your blog post. The first thing you want to do is click on Share. Okay? I'm going to scroll up, and it provides you with a URL, and it also provides you with an embed code. So I'm going to start with just using the embed code. And if you scroll down, it gives you some text. Now I'm going to tell you from my experiences, this iframe code is real simple to copy and paste, but I have found if you're messing around with WordPress in your editor, for some reason, if you're going back and forth from the visual to the HTML, you can lose this code. I don't know why. That's just been my experience. So I prefer not to use this iframe code. So I actually will go and I will choose the old embed code, because to me it's still more stable. For some reason, it just works better to me in WordPress to use the old embed code. Another thing I would recommend, if you don't like to have them see other videos, you know how YouTube will play a video and then at the end it'll have thumbnails to all these other videos. If you don't want that, I would suggest just clicking that off so that they just see the video on your website and they don't see anything else. They give you some sizes down here. These are actually really huge. So we might can get away with the 560 by 315, this first one, but I'm gonna, just to play it safe, I'm gonna just use I'm just go at 480. So I'm gonna actually use the custom size 480, and you can type in the width and it'll automatically calculate the height for you. And I'm going to, I don't know if you ever noticed this on a website before, but on the end you can kind of hold your mouse down and click and then drag. And I'm going to do that so that you can see the entire embed code that you would need. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to take all of that. I'm going to press Control-C, which is for copy on my keyboard if you like shortcuts. So that's Control-C. And then I'm going to go back over to my blog post. Now, one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to paste in the visual tab. Notice this, that we're under the visual tab. That code is actually best under the HTML tag. So I'm going to click on the HTML tag. You'll see it looks a little different. And I want this video above the text. So I'm going to kind of click my cursor, bring this down a little bit, click, and you can do a paste or a Control V on your keyboard. That's V as in van. And I'm going to bring in that code that I just copied from YouTube into this HTML editor. And then, so that I can see it, I'm going to go ahead and publish. Because remember, this was a draft that we pulled in that we worked on a little bit before. And I'm going to go out to the website and reload. And voila, we have a new blog post with a video above the text. You see your other blog posts below that. And I'm going to just press play, make sure it's playing okay. And it's playing decently. Go ahead and stop that. So that's a real quick and easy way. You can set up a YouTube channel, add your videos to that YouTube channel, and you can bring those videos and copy and paste them into your blog. And you can direct people to go to your blog post to see the video on your website. So that's a really quick and easy way to add video to your website. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one other trick. I meant to show this to you earlier. I really don't like long blog posts. These aren't really long. Right now they're about 2 paragraphs or so. But say when I wanted a person to come to the website and they didn't really see all of this text at first. Let me go back over to the post for a second. And I'm going to click back to the visual. And notice when you're on the visual, it'll show you this yellow box. That's just showing you where the video is. Don't touch it or mess with it, but for the visual side, it will show you and let you know that there's a video there. But say I didn't want to show all of that text. One little quick and nice little thing that is in your editor, let me click to make sure I'm in the right place. Say I didn't want them to see this last paragraph. I wanted them to go for more. So I'm going to click right here after the first paragraph, and I'm going to go up and click this little, it says insert more tag. I call it a splitter. It basically if you look at the icon, it kind of splits the text in half. So it'll show just what you want it to show. So I'm going to click that insert more tag, and you'll notice that it puts a line with more on it. Now I'm going to click update so you can see, what exactly I'm talking about. You may not really get it until you see it on the blog. So I'm going to go back out. I'm going to click reload. And if I scroll down, for this particular theme, it says continue reading. So that's a real nice way to not have long, like I go to people's blogs and it kind of makes me not want to read your blog because the posts are so long. Remember, the whole point of this particular section, we're talking about adding images and video and audio, is you want to draw people's attention to your blog. And if you have a lot of text, I'm a bookworm. I love books. I love reading. I love reading on my Kindle, but those are different devices and different mediums. On the computer, if I want people to really focus on this video, I don't want them to see all this text underneath it unless they really want to. If they do want to, they can click on continue reading, and it'll take them to the blog post itself where they can get the rest of the text if they want to. So that's just something I kind of want to point out to you in this particular section. So I'm going to go back to home here. And actually, just for purposes, I will add one more video post. So I'm going to go back over to edit post. We're going to add new. And just in case you're not a YouTube fan, I would highly recommend having a YouTube channel. But if you're not a YouTube fan, I also have a Vimeo, a Vimeo.com channel. And I think the video player on Vimeo is a lot nicer than YouTube. It's just, it's more of an artsy site. If you go to that website, they have a lot of documentaries, and people use that website who are really serious about their video. So I'm going to plop in one more video just to show you the difference between the players, because you may like that video player over YouTube, and we'll see the difference. So let's see. I'm going to call this, let's just call it a video blog. And that may be something you want to do. Let's say it's video blog. I don't know. We were doing this for 22 days. So we're on day 22. So I am going to add a video here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to my Vimeo site. And this is another book trailer I did last year for an author. It's a really cool book. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to copy this text that's underneath just to add just a little bit of text to the post. So I'm going to go back and paste that text. This book is about a police officer, Robert Leon Davis. He kind of went to the other side of the law, and he was on the run for over 2 decades. He has a really interesting story. And just to kind of follow up with what we talked about last week, I'm adding this new post. Remember last week when we talked about categories and tags and all that? I'm going to go over and let's say this was just a guest blogger. So I'm going to click guest blogger just to choose as a category. And I pulled my tags under here. I'm kind of showing you my system. You know, as you're putting together a blog post, you want to kind of make sure you do your categories, do your tags, put all the information that you need while you're working on the blog post right there, right then and there. Let's see, another thing about Robert. There was a crime. Let's see. He was from, let's say he was from New Orleans and then Canada. Remember, the tags are very specific to the blog post. So we're going to add those tags just to make sure we have everything in order because we're creating a new blog post. And I'm going to save that draft because we kind of put a lot of information in there. We don't want it to go anywhere. Okay, so we have that saved. Okay, so now we're going to go back over to, I'm going to take you to Vimeo. And I just want to show you, if you decide to use Vimeo versus YouTube, how you grab the embed code. And theirs is really easy, actually. If you look right here on the video player, you can just click embed, and they'll bring up a new window. They also are using this iframe. For these purposes, I'll go ahead and use it, but I just prefer the old embed codes. But I'll go ahead and copy this. I'm going to do a Control-C on my keyboard, and I'm going to go back over to our blog post. Remember, you can't put this in the visual area or the visual editor. It has to be in the HTML editor. And I kind of just made a return and put this little thingy in there. You don't really need that, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go to Control-V on my keyboard and paste in that iframe. And we're going to see what happens here. But sometimes when you use this iframe, it can be a little funny if you flip back and forth. But I'm going to publish this. Go ahead and make that a post. I'm going to go over to our demo and do a reload. And now we have another. There you go. That's kind of small. I didn't really resize that. I just kind of grabbed the code that they gave us. I may go back and resize that a little bit. But if you notice, you have YouTube and Vimeo. I really like the Vimeo player. I just like the buttons and how it looks. You may like the YouTube player instead. But I just wanted to kind of show you the two different places online where if you're going to do video marketing, you can create your own channel like I have. And you can add that video to your blog post, or you can add these to pages as well. For this particular module, I'm just kind of concentrating on the post, but the editors are the same. I do want to see something here. I'm going to click on visual. Okay, it stayed. In a couple of versions of WordPress, when they have the iframes, sometimes you can click back to the visual and it goes away. But as long as you see this yellow box here, you're still good. So I'm going to click back over to HTML tag or over to the HTML editor and back over. I'm just checking to make sure it's still good. I think I want to make it bigger. Instead of just going back to Vimeo to change size, if you look closely, and this is only if you don't mind playing with code, but if you look at the code, it actually will let you change the size. And so I think I had 480 for that YouTube, and for the height, I think it was like 270. So I'm going to change it just so that the size of the video players will match on the blog. So I'm going to update that. So if you do kind of see where you don't like how something looks, if you're okay with being in the HTML tag at the HTML editor section, you can definitely play around a little bit, which is why I really like that WordPress allows you to play with HTML, because when I first learned how to do websites, I learned it looking like this, where it had code and tags on it. So sometimes if something doesn't work exactly the way I like it, I like to be able to do this. So let's go over. I'm going to reload the page and see how that video player looks. Yeah, much better, much better. And see, it's kind of the same size now as the YouTube player. I definitely like the Vimeo player better. It's just nicer looking to me. So I'm going to just press play just to make sure it's all working good. Okay. And I like how the player kind of goes away. You can kind of touch it and it goes away. Okay. There's a couple other things that we could have selected. I think you don't have to have this on the side, but this is just for our purposes. I want you to see. And just look how great it's starting to look. This is just a demo, but it's starting to come to life. We have images and video. And these are the kind of things that really, when you use these on your blog, that really make it come alive. So in the next section, we're going to talk about audio, and don't, think that people don't listen to audio. Obviously, there are things online, like I'm a big Pandora user, so I listen to music on Pandora all the time. Also, I'm a big iTunes user, so I have most of my music library in iTunes. And then there are people who are into audible.com. So, audio is definitely, people enjoy audio, and probably even more so, especially depending on where they're at, even more so than video. Sometimes having visuals isn't always necessary. So in the next section of this module, we'll talk about audio.